Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1, start.
Everybody pick.
Alright, and should I read a donation comment, or do you want to explain a little bit about the game?
Well, the only thing I need to explain right now is that... Wow, I've never missed that. I'll explain more about the game later, but on level 1 I do need to explain that I'm actually going to use a warp zone here. Now, when I made the first run of this game on SDA, no one knew about this warp zone. Like, it's a really well-hidden secret, and I'll apologize, I can't remember the person who brought it to our attention on SDA, but it was well after I submitted my run. And basically, to activate the warp zone, it's kind of bizarre. You just have to go to the end of the stage, like I did, hit that button, and then go back to the beginning. I'm using a panic button here to get back to the beginning faster. So now there's a hidden door at the beginning that I activate by hitting that button. And this warp zone is essentially like, you know, Super Mario Brothers, so obviously I'm going to pick the one that takes me to the latest level. Okay, you can go ahead and read donations now.
Alright, so we have another $500 donation, this time from Andreas Helm, and he says, please consider running Serious Sam 2 next time. And so, many thanks to you for that donation.
Yes,
And we'll look into Serious Sam 2. It all depends on if we have runners who make it out to the marathon.
So, you see I throw these little jars. Different Earthlings take different number of hits before you capture them. Like this fairy I'm trying to hit takes 4 hits. There's super jars in the game which make it so any enemy only takes 1 hit, but the number of super jars you get per present with super jars is random between 1 and 3. Unfortunately, that present I'd gotten before only had 1, so I'm already out. Now I got some more. I don't know why I bothered to stop that. Lots of invisible enemies in this game, but I'll talk about them more later. I kind of need to concentrate here, so I'll explain this after I'm done. I'm going to try to do as well as I can in the Hyperfunk Zone. Okay, I think I got everything I needed. Okay, so Hyperfunk Zone is a little bonus stage you can do like throughout many levels in this game. So, get under here without landing in the water. Nope. A few things I have to say about it. I'm still kind of concentrating though. I might have to wait until I get to the end of this level before I can really talk, because there's kind of a lot I have to focus on during the levels. A lot to remember. Again, I was just using that panic button to get where I'm going faster. Panic buttons are the fastest way to travel, and like I mentioned before, with ToeJam you can still do a pretty good job of hitting Earthlings with them too. Earl, not so much.
That boulder pushing was amazing.
Yeah.
So glad, Earl.
Yeah, Earl saved like a half second there, so that was good. So a few things about the hyperfunk zones. I used to think that they would be a waste of time in speedruns, just because you do have to exit the level for like about a minute per hyperfunk zone to do them, and I thought the rewards weren't really worth it since you can find a lot of the same stuff on the levels. Sometimes out of the way, sometimes not. Dane, who holds the new current record on SDA for this game, pointed out that by doing at least one hyperfunk zone, the number of items you can get from it averages out to one item every 4 seconds or something. So when you put it that way, it's totally worth it to at least go through the hyperfunk zone once just to load up on panic buttons and funk backs.
Oh yeah.
What happened,
There
kids?
was a $500 donation towards Kingdom Hearts.
You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy.
Still plenty of time for Kingdom Hearts 2 to catch up though.
I was about to say, wow, that's
wise too.
oh.
So now there's another thing in this game some people might know about who are really familiar with it. There's actually a way to get infinite super jars if you complete all of the hyperfunk zones 2 times each, or I believe. I think you have to do one extra one to actually activate it. But if you do that in one sitting, you'll have infinite super jars. And technically, having the infinite super jars, since it makes you have to deal with the randomness of the Earthlings much less, should save time, even though you have to spend so much time in the funk zone. The reason I'm not doing it for my speedrun is A, because I'm not very consistent with hyperfunk zones and it would waste a ton of time if I screwed up. And B, just because I don't think it would be that interesting for the viewer to watch me do hyperfunk zones for like 10 minutes. But it's either way, I mean, because randomness is going to come into play one way or another, even if I use the super jars. So I don't think that it's going to be it would be a huge difference even if I did it. Okay, so this is the first actual end of a level, since I skipped all the way to level 5 from level 1.
In the first ToeJam Earl, did it at least look like Earth? Or was it just...
No, not at all.
It looked like Funkotron, honestly.
I guess I should still practice Gage too. There's nothing wrong with practice.
Well, I mean, if enough people just start doing it like $5 or $10.
Oh yeah, no, you can do the same thing you did the first one it comes out.
Climb back up. And
I just figured people would be spent by now.
no.
And then we had another $500 donation. Not too long after that.
Oh, big one for the Cage 1 or 2.
It wasn't towards that. It was just saying that he'd like to see Serious Sam 2 run in the future, which is it's a PC game. Yeah, and it's just like a super crazy first-person shooter.
That's awesome. Great job, guys. Your donations are awesome. Including $866 for Kingdom Hearts 1. Cutscenes RS. Wow, that's awesome!
I do want to see instant payment up, but sometimes it's got ways.
I mean, it sucks for Pixel. And everyone who has to watch, but...
Well, it's so ways off, and it could go back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You have no problem going back and forth this thing.
About to say, I want to see that topped and topped over again and topped. Because that's awesome.
Hey.
See that cute number next to Cage 1?
Of course, there's going to be, I can come in 20.
Someone got mad.
That'll be really well.
Someone donated $500 to Cage 1. Hey! If he's that awesome.
Can you click your box more? You did that anyway. Your name or just have a
I can't remember his name.
big number?
I can go look it up.
That or
That's it.
we'll see it later. Sure.
Okay, she can make that much money, but
Yeah, that's not nice.
Or it can be.
I'm still It's funny 'cause I'm still gonna go practice Cage too, because that's the extra worlds I haven't played yet. And I'm gonna get in and be like, oh, okay, so we can still do the Cage one. So you guys don't want to see me waste the next 6 hours practicing for Cage too.
I just want to mention right now, and I'll probably complain about it much more throughout the run, poodles, when they're frenzied like that, are by far the most dangerous enemy in the game. I die more to poodles than any other enemy. Even though they only take 2 hits.
That statement somehow sounds wrong.
Yeah, that's like
Poodles.
That's a highlight.
Oh, you guys got
Poodles.
It's a high percentage of the enemy in the game.
Chat.
Everyone's about to say, oh, the boogeyman.
Okay, I think,
No clues.
yeah, the jar got stuck up on the wall. Sometimes you can't reach the jar and the Earthling will get free.
Was this the last ToeJam Earl?
No.
No, there was a long time after this one came out, they did release a 3rd one, which was very poorly received. I believe it was for the Xbox.
Yeah, it was Xbox. We best live at it. One day rush. 41 it real fast and then just...
It was more like the first one, but 3D graphics.
Man, the sprites in this game are just too good.
The reason everything went black and white is because another part of the plot of this game is that because the Earthlings have invaded Funkotron, the Funk is leaving the planet, which is represented by color apparently. So periodically throughout the level there's little trigger zones that will cause the Funk to disappear, and when that happens you can't use any of your powers, which can be a little annoying.
Is that just a time-based thing, or?
It's not time-based, it's when you reach certain points in the level, specific points on certain levels.
It's just kind of annoying, and you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's
no point where I'm gonna be frantically trying to use an item and won't be able to because the Funk went out or anything.
Well, I just mean, I was wondering if it comes back after a certain
Yeah, well, yeah, it comes back after a certain amount of time. This is a password-based game, but graciously it remembers the last password you had, so if you were ever... Now here I'm going to show how bad the panic buttons are with Earl. See, I can't hit this poodle at all while he's on the ground, whereas ToeJam would have been able to. So really all this game comes down to is a lot of memorization as far as Earthling locations, present locations. This game just has like millions of secrets hidden throughout the levels. And they also have what are called funktivation spots, which are just spots randomly in the air where if you jump in that spot, a present will appear or a platform will appear. And I have to remember all of those. This is like an hour and 20-minute game of Simon. Have to remember invisible enemy locations like this cow ghost, so I don't get jumped by them. So the fastest way to throw jars is throwing them down, so a lot of times you'll see me try to jump over enemies and bombard them from above.
It also helps with him throwing from up higher too, I bet. If you just throw him sideways, it might sail over the enemy.
Yeah, well, some enemies can dodge them, like the little baseball. These guys can dodge them. The balloon kids can dodge them. Fairies are the worst. Like, I said before that the Earthling that has the greatest chance of actually killing me is the poodles. But by far the most frustrating one is the fairies. The fairies can't actually hurt you, but they are the bane of speedrunning. Because all they do is dodge jars extremely well, and stun you, which are, you know, terrible for speedrunners. So this, when I'm stuck laughing, it doesn't hurt me at all, but it can be really annoying if they're paired with like a tourist or a boogeyman and I'm not able to dodge it because I'm just standing there laughing. I always hope to have the super jars when I'm fighting fairies. Ordinarily, when you pick up a jar and you're just, you know, walking into the side of it, standing next to it, you do this little animation, this little second-long animation where you crouch down to pick up the jar. If you jump on the jar instead, then you'll skip that animation. So I try to jump on jars rather than walk into them as much as I can because it saves time.
Good morning, streamers.
Morning, UA.
Morning, UA. Again, let's see how well the panic button does here. Oh, I got all of them. That's rare. Earl, I mean, ToeJam has a much easier job of doing that.
Doesn't have the strut.
Yeah, he doesn't have the strut though. Earl's strut is epic.
Yeah, I heard.
So, just in case anyone hasn't figured out already who knows this game, I'm not doing a 100% run, a best ending run. I'm just doing a, you know, fastest completion. To get the best ending in this game, you have to find all of Layman's hidden items. He's the Funkopotamus who will return the funk to Funkotron after you get all the Earthlings out of here.
In the descriptions of this game.
Yeah, it's
It's
a goofy game.
It's all spot on.
But yeah, so you have to find his stuff to kind of coax him back from the hyperfunk zone to Funkotron. Okay, this place I kind of need to concentrate. There's a lot of enemies here. But yeah, the 100% run isn't actually that much longer, but you know, I'm not doing it for this. Maybe a future marathon. Gotta use a funk back here. This is probably the most Earthlings I'll catch with a single funk back in this run. Danger Alley is absolutely named. I think that was 8. I know I've gotten 9 with a single one before.
Can they break out and actually hear things in one back in before they get done with the animation? They can break out of the jars if you don't collect them fast enough, but not when you're using the funk back. You'll always pick them up before they break out. So there's 3 special moves in this game that you can do. 2 of them are item-based. 1 is energy-based. You can see in the bottom left I have what's called Funk Energy, which I have 49 of right now. The Funk Energy allows you to do a funk move, which is a little short distance warp that you can go through walls with. It just costs 1 funk to do that. You can also use a funk scan, which will show you, like behind bushes and trees, where enemies' presence are hidden, and also show you where funktivation spots are. The funk scan you access by pressing start and then pressing A. And then the 2 item-based ones, which you can see in the bottom right, are panic buttons and funk backs. This is a little dicey. The female tourists take less jars than the male tourists to capture them, but they are much more trigger happy with their cameras.
So it's going to flip after Left 4 Dead and
much better on schedule than any of our previous marathons.
I said at the beginning of this round, the updated schedule the first time, towards the end that we won 5 on a marathon.
Even though I had the first run for this game on SDA, my record, I mean, not just because of the warp zone discovery, but even without that, my record was totally destroyed by a runner named Dane. I owe a lot of the route changes to him, so huge props to Dane for a lot of the tricks I'm going to be using that I didn't use in my original run. I was still pretty proud of my first run, to be fair, because considering I did that without, anyone else working on the game or having worked on the game as far as speedrunning is concerned. There were no TASs at the time. I think there's a TAS in progress now, but there still hasn't been a completed one.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see improvements to the SDA times from that, where there's no information beforehand, and now the TASs are becoming more common.
Cow ghosts here. Oh, God. Cow ghosts are annoying because they'll appear, and then when they disappear, they warp. So you can throw a jar right where they were and miss it. And then it's kind of random where it is, and it's like monk scan to find it. Might miss this bubble. Okay. That's fine. It depends on how close the construction worker is to the edge. Sometimes I can get back on the bubble, sometimes I can't. So very random elements in this game with the earthlings. Unfortunately, I don't have super jars here because I haven't been lucky with my drops. I'm trying to get this cow ghost hopefully before he gets me. Behind me, awesome. Meanwhile, this guy is just chucking tomatoes at me. I usually have a super jar for him, but unfortunately I didn't this time. Now I'll get some. Oh, come on.
Like that used to the warp to skip having to wait on the bubble when you're going out the first
Do you have to get all of them, or just some of them?
The earthlings? You have to get all of them. You can see there's a little flashing light right now, a little red flashing light sort of in the bottom center to the right. That's saying that there's earthlings nearby. When there aren't earthlings nearby, it'll be an arrow, a red arrow pointing to the nearest earthling. And once all the earthlings are captured, it turns into a green arrow showing you the way to the exit. So yeah, you have to capture all the earthlings in every level to advance. This way, please. Don't want to die. Good. Pretty low on health right now. Like I said, those poodles are my worst enemy. The poodles tend to hang around those large women. I don't remember what their official title is. Fat ladies or something. And usually they're passive as long as the fat lady is just walking around minding her own business. But if you attack the fat lady, the poodles go into frenzy mode where they just destroy you. Her out. The fairy messing with me. This might be bad. Yeah. Okay, look that right at the beginning, so it's not going to waste much time. Like I said, fairies aren't, they're just an annoyance on their own, but they can easily destroy you when they're combined with other earthlings. Earthlings also have the habit of just magically teleporting around, sometimes when they're off screen, re-hiding themselves in different locations, so that can be a little annoying. He's going to land in the water, go back up to make him respawn.
I don't know if anyone's watching the chat right now, but if people are asking questions at all, you know, you can tell me, because there's probably a lot of people who have questions about this game, either who haven't played it or asking about my strategies, whatever. This place can be a little dicey to low in health. Because now, once I capture this fat lady, the poodles that I go after from this point on will be in frenzy mode, so I have to be really careful. So gone. That's one down. I think there's one more. Up here. There's virtually no way to open this without taking a hit. Now, this part up here might be a little difficult since I'm not using ToeJam. Not this part. I'm going to use a panic button at the top.
There's a swarm of poodles.
There's 2 poodles and a tourist. I got 1 poodle. Tourist. It's not too bad. There's a cow ghost here.
I thought it was the cow ghost. It's very. Which one's a cow?
I got a quick question. Is the Genesis hooked up with an RF adapter or composite right now?
Composite.
Okay. Somebody kept asking how we were streaming from an RF, and I was like, I don't think we are.
Would not look as good as it does if that were the case. These flying ducks take the most hits of any Earthling, so they're a little annoying to fight just because of, you know, if you don't have a super jar, they take a long time and they're hard to hit. You have to time jumping over them before they come on screen, or else they'll duck like that. Okay, now, this flying duck at the top should follow me all the way down, as long as they don't dilly dally. There's a funk back down here. That's not good. Hopefully I can still get him. I hope. Yes! Okay. Let's have some time. What?
Did that poodle just turn into the baseball kid?
No, the baseball kid sort of ran on screen at the same time that the poodle was at the edge.
Oh.
He was down here already.
So that's quite funky.
Well, this game is all about the funk. Okay, now, talking to an NPC here, usually the only reason you have to talk to these guys is for finding layman's items. The reason I'm talking to Flarney here isn't because I'm going for the item, it's because it'll actually open a shortcut as far as getting to the level faster. There's going to be a button that'll spawn at the bottom here that'll take me to the top, which makes this the fastest route to talk to him. Oh, was it 2 super jars there instead of just using 1? So this button is here now because I talked to Flarney. Oh, Boogeyman. I believe the Boogeyman is the only returning enemy from the first game. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
Either
It's one thing when you're on Earth in ToeJam Earl 1, there are no Earthlings around. Now you're on Funkotron, there are Earthlings everywhere.
Yeah, there's,
So.
like it's kind of funny to think that these like hundreds of Earthlings stowed away on the ship. Okay, this part is really dicey. I usually take a hit here. There's 2 cow ghosts in the ferry, and I'm bouncing all over the place. It's really hard to not get hit. Okay, I'm just trying to land to a safe spot. Okay, well, at least I got. Hopefully, I'll get the jar before the ferry breaks loose. Nope. That's 1 down. Okay, that's the other. Okay, that's a relief. I can usually catch these faster by jumping and throwing jars, but I'm on fungus right now, so I'll start bouncing all over the place if I jump, and it'll just end up taking longer. So I kind of have to fight this ferry passively. More poodle up here. There's a panic button to get where I'm going faster. See, the other annoying thing is that your jars will kind of home in on enemies, and sometimes they'll home in on the wrong one. Like it's trying to hit the ferry while I'm trying to hit the boogeyman. Because if I hit the boogeyman and keep him stunned, more or less, then he won't be able to hurt me. But if I'm just throwing jars blindly at the ferry, then he'll just walk up to me and do his boogie boogie boogie.
We saw it before the tourist, but yeah, boogeyman's a lot more damage. So if you're just sitting there laughing, 2 or 3 boogies, you'll be out of life bar.
Okay, so for this level. These are little mini games that can earn you points. There's really no reason to do it. You don't get any panic buttons or fuckbacks or anything from doing it, unfortunately. It's one of the earliest rhythm video games, actually. You have to, it's sort of like a game of Simon, where you have to time different dance moves, copying what your friends do. There's a lot of funny dialogue in this game that I'm skipping since it's a speed run, like talking to the people in the houses. They always have really hilarious comments they make. If you haven't played this game before, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who think that the first game is better. I think the second game is great. I might even go to say that, you know, I think the second game is a better game. It's obviously very different from the first, but it's got a lot of humor in it. It's pretty well designed, a lot of secrets to find. Close.
Is it expensive to get this game on card?
Oh, well, I don't know how much it would be now. I don't think it was particularly rare or anything. You can probably get it cheap on eBay.
And also the opinions out there that the first one is better, the second one might be cheaper overall.
That could be true. I think, yeah, the first one might be a little more rare. Oh, gosh. I'm trying to do a little, sort of a... Oh, man. I didn't get the tour started. Oh, wait. That's bad. It'll cost a little time because my waypoint's a bit back. Yeah, this game is fairly generous with giving you the health power-ups, which is, you know, the various food items you see me grab. But it's really easy to die. So you've got to be careful if you're surrounded by Earthlings. Now, I don't know if I can do this with Earl, actually. Oh, here we go. You're not supposed to be able to get it from under, but you can do a... You'll see me in a few places do a higher than normal jump by doing a normal... Is there another man? Yeah, I forgot something. Normally the highest jump you do is by crouching and then jumping, sort of like in Mario Brothers 2. But you can do a slightly higher jump if you do that, and then at the peak, almost the peak of your jump, you throw a jar upwards, it'll give you a slight upwards boost. So there's a few places where I do that to reach platforms I shouldn't be able to reach normally. Yummy. Oh boy, I didn't do that. That's bad. Bounce. Come on. Okay, yes. Okay, that was close. I accidentally jumped on the fungus, so I couldn't use my funk back in midair. There's a nasty combination of enemies in that area. Generally, when you see me use funk backs, it's because there's just like, you know, enemies grouped together that are really hard to deal with.
What determines when you can use those?
You just have to collect the items. I have 2 right now. You can see the bottom right.
Oh yeah, okay.
I try to conserve them because they are kind of rare without going out of the way. So I try to use them in places where I need them most. Okay, and sort of need a concentrator, so semi-serious time. I have some kind of blind jumps I have to make. Okay, that's close. If you fall there, you have to go through this long underwater maze, which I really didn't want to do. Okay, this maze is pretty easy to get through. And in fact, there's a couple shortcuts you'll see me take, going through walls that you're not supposed to be able to go through ordinarily.
How do you get back your funk energy and stuff?
You just get it in presence, and I don't go out of the way for presence with funk, but there's just so many presents around, just in your path that you'll never have to worry about running out during a speed run. The game's pretty generous with funk.
It's just losing it.
I don't use it that much. Like I never funk scan. The only thing I use it for is using the funk move to warp, but I don't use it that often. You guys are going to be disappointed by this. Oops. Come on, I'm going to see if there's a present down here. There's some super jars. Let's see if I can get it. I'm wasting a lot of time just getting these super jars. I think. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, once you're in the air, it's control where you're going.
It's, yeah, when you're falling, it's kind of hard to control your direction.
Is the super jars a time limited thing then? Or?
They're not time limited, you just get them in limited quantities.
Yeah, the top right.
Limited.
Yeah, I guess.
They don't tell you how many you have,
Yeah, you put it in a
unfortunately. They
range.
just show you if you have them or if you don't.
Oh.
It's literally
You can
random
hold up to
buttons.
9 at once.
Once you try to get 10, you beat over.
What? Oh, if you already have 9 and then you collect a present that should have super jars, it'll just give you points instead, so that's a good indication that you have full. Poodles. 8 poodles. A lot. I mean, obviously, almost any speedrunner stuff you have to memorize, but there's just so much you have to remember for running this game. All the goofy present locations, things I'm doing like this to get
Yeah, I
presents.
don't remember anything in mine. I struggle with like if I enter a room, do I go left or right?
Okay, this is a really dicey spot down here. It's almost impossible to get both of these cow ghosts without getting hit because of how tight the quarters are. Ugh. Oh, come on!
Ooh,
I thought he was to the
ghost.
right still. Little help here. Okay. There's a little sort of puzzle here where you have to use the doors in a specific order to actually get up to the top. But I, of course, have the order already memorized. Oh! It's dangerously low right now. And I'm out of super jar, so I didn't get very lucky with any of those presents I got. This can be a little tricky with as low health as I have. I have to kind of fight this guy carefully. Mainly using that to get a little boost over to here. Let's see if I got the fairy's attention. Some food, much needed. Okay. I'm going to kind of fight this fairy passively because I want to make sure that the jar actually lands on this platform so I don't have to make a big detour to find the jar if it drops below. I'm pretty high up above the ground right now. Hi, Blue Knight. Now we go back.
There's a donation for the character building credits.
Any new donations to read or anything?
Actually, no. There's one from Monica Orzechowski for $15. No comment though. But remember, anything on the right side of the streams here, on the right stream over there. Oh, I'm sorry. I just got another from Dylan Potomac for $40. No comment yet. But yeah, you can donate for anything over there. The Zelda file names. Okay, well, 80% versus 100% seems pretty unanimous there, but going to the best.
It's pretty solid over there. I figured I might get evened up overnight, but...
Kingdom Hearts 2, though, remember, it's a race, and the runners here, I just can tell you, both
Where is he going?
don't want to do KH1, yet is somehow in the lead by like $300, so...
Solid.
It just takes a little bit from everyone, though, if you want to have another race. So, there's also the grand prize of Ocarina of Time 3D and with the 3DS. And if you donate $10 or more, you can get them for that. And just keep that in mind, as well as, I guess, is the animation cell only for KH2, I guess? Or KH1?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, alright.
Well, this, I mean, it's slated for 6.5 hours. They have plenty of time to
That's
get on
fire.
there.
Yeah, Minish Cap does have a hat and Perlers. His prize is coming up though, so that was pretty fun.
Come on, please, please, please.
I'm not sure if they have them on hand here. The Minish Cap hat hadn't been finished, and I'm not sure the Perler is.
Alright.
That tourist, I wish I could get that tourist with this funk back, but it's hard to make it up the hill with the ferry and the naked guy in the box and the tourist, so it's safer to take the tourist out down there.
Alright, so just a reminder that all your donations are going to the Organization for Autism Research. We're not seeing a penny of anything you donate. And long and straight to them. They're
It's a little shortcut here.
They're working on education, prevention, just general research for autism, helping out a lot of people. And even if you can only donate $1, that's all you have. That's a lot better than nothing, and a lot of people donating that much adds up very quickly.
And even if you can't donate $1,
yeah, you
tell
can
your friends.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
they
the
can
biggest
donate.
thing. You can promote. I'm not sure if we still have the Reddit going. I haven't seen that one
It
posted in a
does,
while.
but after 24 hours, it's impossible to get in front of you.
Yeah, alright. So, when we do have you can use Facebook, Twitter, just call up some people, go to YouTube, whatever, just, you'd be surprised, because even if there's people that you don't think would be interested in watching video games.
Okay, for some reason I can't do this with Earl, and I've had no trouble doing it with ToeJam.
We also have some pretty unexpected things happening on the commentary cam once in a while, so.
And
There we go.
don't worry about
And then just go
a lot of the marathon being over already, because we still have some great games, and still the entire day of
You're all day.
marathon.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 Zelda games, Super Metroid, and Kingdom Hearts games, so a ton of great stuff today.
Yeah, wrestling 2 songs and dance me time, so I was back on that when I got here. So anything can happen.
Sorry, for whatever reason, this is a lot harder to do with Earl. There we go. So, what this is a hidden door I'm going through. This is one of Trixie's little hidden rooms. Trixie, some people may remember from the first game, you could find her in the last level when you beat the game. She was kind of a little Easter egg. And in this game, when you find her, she gives you different abilities that last for the whole level. In this case, infinite super jars, which is obviously very useful. There's also, infinite panic buttons, infinite funk, infinite funk vacs, anything like that. The reason I don't get more of the Trixie zones is because most of them are really out of the way to get to. So this is really the only one that isn't out of the way, and obviously will save a lot of time on the level as well.
Alright, Dylan Potomac put in that $40 for Epsi, so it has a pretty significant lead now on Zelda Link to the Past, but as we've seen from, everything so far, no lead is safe until you start the game. So, if you want one of those other names to win, or even if you have your own creative idea and that hasn't even been donated for yet, you might just spark the interest of someone with a deep wallet. So
Yeah, like watermelon cake through.
yeah, watermelon cake from Alucard just kind of came out of nowhere and just started rolling. So
Yeah, I mean, you may only donate a few dollars towards it, but maybe someone else will really like the name you pick if you come up with a clever one. Or maybe someone who just doesn't want Monk to win will like it, who knows. I miss this platform, I miss it a lot. A huge detour, I do.
That's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, this would be how the whole game would be if I did the Hyperfunk Zone trick to get infinites, but, not sure if everyone wants to watch 10 minutes of Hyperfunk Zones, and it's really stressful for me to do it, to not miss it all. Yeah, even them, like fairies, still troll you. They don't care if you have infinites.
I was waiting for you to do a funk back on that, and then just like backflip all the way there. And
Come on, I totally had that. I'm trying to hit my poodle before I hit her, so I don't have to deal with frenzy mode poodle.
Yeah, Jake's screwing, put in $10 for one. So, yeah, I mean, it's still a race. Certainly between, well, at least 3 names here. Have over $100, so.
Is the one in here? I can't tell. There's 3, and I don't know if I got them. Sometimes if the jars overlap, it's hard to tell if I got it. I'm gonna assume I got it. I'll find out after I go back up there.
how do you find
So, we'll have a lot of exploration. I mean, like I said, I owe a lot of credit to Dane because he came up with some of the route changes that I'm using, but, you know, when I first ran this game, I just spent so much time mapping out the levels, you know, finding every Funktivation spot where all the presents were hidden and deciding which ones were, you know, worth going out of the way for and which ones would take too much time. Just that was a bad jump. That was a horse jump. Try this again. There we go.
Does dropping the super jar give you a big jump?
Well, if you drop the super jar, you will start falling a little faster on the fungus, so it doesn't take as long bouncing up and down. These are little tricks that Dane found. He also found that, like, if you're moving from a complete standstill, it's always faster to jump and drop a jar in midair at the beginning of movement, because you'll reach your top momentum faster.
Is that run already on the site? Or?
Yeah, his run, he has both a 100% run and a 80% run that are on the site.
On the SDA or on TAS?
On SDA. I think he was working on the TAS, but as far as I know, he hasn't completed it. Yeah, his runs got finished like a year ago and, you know, put on the site like, I don't know, 6 months ago or 7 months ago, I'm not sure when. I am really hungry.
Well, better finish fast then.
Okay, now, this is the one level I may have to restart on. I have 2 of my hardest tricks at the very beginning. This one just, you know, might take a while depending on my timing. Okay, that was not too bad. Now, here's the one part where I might have to restart if I screw it up. Okay. Okay, I need to restart. Apologies. It's really hard to stay on that platform until the panic button wears off. Fortunately, it should have my password saved. Like, really, I mean, there's no substitute for doing this trick because it saves a ton of time. And, like, if I miss it and fall in the water, I have to make a huge detour. Oh, kind of screwed up that jump in midair.
You want someone to grab you some food now?
No, it's okay. I missed one time. This is a totally different route than what I used in my run. So I give Dane total credit for finding this. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, now I can relax. I'm still not safe until I get that last boogeyman up there. If I fall down early, it's a disaster.
So let's maybe see the difference between ToeJam Earl panicking. The whole time he's running back towards that platform, he didn't hit the boogeyman at all.
Yeah, if I was ToeJam, I would have jarred the boogeyman while I was on the platform. But some of the shorter Earthlings like boogeyman and poodles are almost impossible to hit with Earl when you're kind of cut. I still like Earl more. I mean, I just think he's a funner, cooler character. Saved a little time there because I was Earl, pushing that rock.
Problem is people donating for saying faster boulder movement.
I like the aesthetic of this level. The Funkotronian moon has kind of a cool color scheme compared to the other levels. This used to be one of my favorite levels until I started speedrunning it. Definitely funk facting down here. You'll see why.
I see why.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Surprised that the kid that plays baseball can't just catch the magic jars.
He's good at dodging them, that's the one thing that's annoying about him.
Imagine he threw it back at you. Oh, terrible.
He jars you. Get a game over. Okay, so
So the
he
screen,
jumps here.
little jar in his room. Baseball mitt, jar of the alien.
Now, you can use a funk item like I did there, right
It's flashing.
at the beginning. Well, yeah, while it's still flashing before it goes black and white. Got a very brief window to do it.
You just dissing all your friends.
Yeah,
Hey, Charlotte.
not very talkative. This is the annoying part. Hopefully the tourists can come on screen. Tourists are annoying because they stun you and deal a lot of damage at the same time. So it can stack up if there's other Earthlings in the area.
The shotgun.
Trying to get my position where I can get these moving in first. Oh, don't follow me. It's in mid-air. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh, no.
I need to get back here so I don't get to that ghost. It's going to be unpredictable now since I didn't hit him right after.
Everybody else again?
I have to. I mean, he's close by. He's close enough to be setting off my little radar thing, but I don't know. He might be underground. He'll go underground sometimes, which is really annoying. He'll just come up under you and you can't do anything about it. If I die here, the checkpoint's really close. It's not going to waste too much time. I'm actually going to... I think there's some food coming out. I was gonna say I was gonna funk scan to see if any of those trees had food behind them, but it's okay. I hope there's some food coming up. This is actually a tough level. In the beginning here, it's pretty tough.
Does your health carry between levels?
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough.
That's like one older from ToeJam Earl 1.
I'll have to do. There's some cow ghosts up here. That was not what I wanted to do. Yeah, cow ghost. Usually the safest thing to do against boogeymen is just get to the edge of a platform so they can't come up behind you and then face the other direction and throw jars.
Okay, mind if I go over donation accounts?
Yeah, go for it.
Chris Vasquez donated $10. 10 bucks for Tate in the KH2 race. Races are what make marathons great. Keep up the great work, SDA. Thank you for
This is
that.
going to be a little dicey here.
KH2 pulling a little closer. Okay. Jared Minahan donated $15. Said for funky, awesome gameplay on a great game. I've really enjoyed the marathon so far. Also putting this towards KH2 catch-up because races are a lot more fun to watch than cutscenes. So $15 brings it to $582. Emily Lizzie, who has made all the plushie prizes that we had today. You just show a few, I guess, if you have them around.
You got
Yeah.
Road. You got the Kirby. You got the Red Knight. You got a hat over there. You got a Lander over there.
Yeah, her site is mercurialknits.com. I'm sure someone can link that in chat. She takes commissions, although usually right after marathons, there's a pretty long waiting list, just because, well, it's just her, so it's understandable. But it's well worth it to order plushies from her. All of her stuff is amazing.
I didn't know I had charged that guy. I was behind that little
Alright, so anyway, she donated $10 and said, even though Earl made the tricks harder, this is so worth it. You rock it. Also donated $10 towards KH2. So slowly but surely, KH2 is making it a close race again. Aaron Ritter said, let's get rain on the board for the Link to the Past. We know it has to happen sometime. Alright, so that brings another name with a pretty good jump right off the bat. Rain is after Reign of Soden on the forums, and the deal with that name is it's notorious for having bad luck for the runner whenever they're playing. So if you want,
he actually set a bounty on SDA for anyone to get a run submitted who had their file name as Rain.
Give me $5.
Because he was convinced that it was impossible to have good luck with that name as your file name.
Some games it is. I tried where I want. But
yeah, I believe Cypher actually already claimed that bounty by getting a Super Mario RPG run submitted. I don't think it's been posted yet though.
But now he's working on like a 5 to 7 minute improvement of that run. So
yeah, he wants to.
So maybe he did have some bad luck.
Bad luck.
Yeah.
so
Or does he finish? He found new strats.
so it's bad luck.
Kind of
It's bad luck.
yeah, it's not a small route change.
But so basically, you want to evoke some dark powers. You know, somebody towards Rain. Make it happen. Does Fungus have a maximum jump size or jump height? Which always goes up. Keep doing Fungus jumps.
For Fungus,
Yeah.
there is a maximum height that you can reach. It's different on different funguses. But most of them you can go pretty high. There's another little feature, a little mini game in in this game called the Funk Olympics, where in certain spots where there's fungus, there'll be a coin slot next to it. And if you activate it, you'll just have a little certain amount of time to do tricks in midair. Just do as many spins as you can, like try to nosedive as close to fungus as you can without actually hitting it. And you'll get points based on your performance. And then, you know, it's just kind of for fun to get points and get items. So it's not worth doing.
So how are you supposed to know where those platforms that keep appearing underneath you are?
Oops, I'm gonna actually.
Another one of those trial and error things?
It's not trial and error. I mean, it's just a lot of research beforehand and route planning.
But in game, if you were just playing a game first time through, you can funk scan.
Oh no.
You can jump around randomly.
This is another dicey combination: tourist and the ferry. The ferry's kind of
Yeah,
back
so
and
if
forth.
you look at the bottom left UA, there's like that 15.
It's really
That's your funk power, and so you can do this thing that is a funk scan. It'll show you what's behind the trees, and if there's any like a secret platform like that.
My original route for this level in my run that I've submitted like 5 years ago or whatever was to take that that bubble up, and it leads to a platform with a tricksy room with infinite funk bags. But it ended up, you know, with a new route that's kind of out of the way. Ooh, darn it!
oh.
Got hit in midair. I was about to use the funk back.
I'll just leave this here.
Getting close to the end of the game. We got a few more levels. I'm hoping to set a new record on this game at some point. One of Dane's runs, I can't remember which was which, but one of them was segmented, one was single segment, so I might do like a single segment one of the one that he did that wasn't a single segment, if that makes sense. So I can get my name back up on the page for this game. Because it's a game I enjoy playing a lot.
What runs do you have currently on SDA?
My only currently standing record that hasn't been beaten is for Dynamite Eddie, which probably will be beaten soon by Dane. I mean, not Dane, by Zyre at the rate that he's going. This is a little dicey.
Yeah, it looks like the 90% is the segmented for this.
I'll try this.
What is that tourist? This is probably going to get hit. I don't think I can avoid it. I have no idea where the tourist went. One more ghost. Now, this main level hub out here that I'm going back to, you'll see is called the Bottomless Pit. And that name's not going to make sense in the speedrun, but the reason why is because if you fall all the way to the bottom before you jar all the Earthlings, you'll spawn at the top again and keep falling until you've actually caught all the Earthlings. But I'm going to catch all of them on the way down, so the first time I reach the bottom, I'll already have caught everything. I am most likely going to die here, because I'm really low on health. And there's a lot of Earthlings here. Okay, I got it. Health power up, that might help. Okay. I wanted to use it higher because there's a boogeyman up there I want to get, and I don't think I'll get the cow ghost either, but cow ghosts are never cooperative. Oh, there's two on the platform. So I'm not used to jarring them because I usually get them with the funk pack. Oh, maybe I did get the cow ghost because it's not showing up on my radar. Yeah, I'll find out when I clear out the last section if I got the cow ghost or not. Sometimes if there's a lot of enemies on screen, like you won't be able to see their sprites just because of the limitations of the console, so I'll catch Earthlings without even seeing them. Now, this is kind of a relatively small trick, but this actually saves a ton of time. right here. I never thought of that when I did my run. It saves a huge bubble path that you have to take at the top of the screen to get over here. It's probably, like, of all the tricks, even though there was a ton of route changes in Dane's run, that little shortcut was by far the thing that impressed me most, because I had never thought of that, and I thought it was extremely clever.
It's interesting that apparently people want a tingle plushie.
Tingle?
I mean, this game looks kind of simple, but it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities.
It's, I mean, you know, controls are great. The gameplay is pretty solid. It's just, you know, it's a tricky game certainly, but not in a frustrating way.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it wouldn't necessarily take a lot of strategy and planning to beat it, but
It's, I mean, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. I mean, the Earthlings are very random. Like, their spawn points, you know, if they're hidden in a bush or whatever, is fixed. Once you pull them out of their hiding spot, everything goes to hell. They'll do whatever they want, and it'll never be consistent from, you know, one run to another.
yeah.
A little careful here. Land in the fire. I think that this and then the other place, like this in the bottomless pit, are the only under-funk zones you'll see me visit in the run. Oh, no. I like the music in the under-funk. Here at Netflix run. Come on. My health is comfortably at 1% again, which is how I like it. I could probably just take damage as a shortcut right now if I wanted to. Save some time. Or death as a shortcut, rather. So hopefully I won't get hit in this last area, because, you know, I'm almost tempted to, I'm going to kill myself actually, because this is too risky up here. If I only have one panic button and I need it to get across this area because I don't have enough coins to use the parking meter to make the fire go away. And the next room I do occasionally get hit, so I needed to take that death just to be safe. Okay. Yeah, see, if I jar them in the fire, then I have to land in the fire to pick up the jars. There's nothing I can do about it. This would spawn me at the top, but I have all the Earthlings down here. Okay, now we're on to the last real stage. There's technically 1.5 stages after this one, but you'll see that they don't really count as full levels. So this is, you know, as you'd expect, probably the most difficult level.
Need some coffee or something?
Yeah, hey, you're up next, so.
Yeah, I better go grab it.
You're doing the little glitch with the...
Okay. Sorry,
I'm gonna have to. Someone has a GameCube to PS2 controller, so I'm actually gonna be playing with the PS2 controller on
Yeah, I do
GameCube,
that
on a Game Boy player or Game Boy game.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that
That's
goes.
not that unusual.
My brain!
I think that's right. Super majorities.
Hopefully I have good super jar luck. So I'd like to have at least 2. Good. I really wanted to save it for him, but that's won't take what I get. Throwing jars in mid-air is faster than standing and throwing jars, so you can keep this guy perma-stunned if you keep hitting him while you're throwing him in mid-air, but it's kind of hard because it's at the same elevation. It's easier when he's like at a higher elevation, you can jump up.
Alright, one of our own mods doesn't even recognize everyone on screen, so I think we need a roll call. Starting from the back left there.
Aftermath,
Seawolf 1.
Rain,
Duffus.
Yeah, and the runner is Arrow. So,
Come on, that was not good. This one can die.
So who didn't the mod recognize then?
huh?
Probably
Probably me.
Actually, didn't recognize you.
Alright.
You said it was me, right? Because I'm the new guy, but no.
All the way down. Whoops. Yeah. Don't want to catch that. No. Trying to get all these before I go after the.
Apparently, Duckfist is a crowd favorite among the people on the camera there.
Oh.
Mostly for his clown dance antics.
I think I was pretty successful.
I can do it alone. I help him it out. That's amazing.
It's gonna quickly become a embarrassing animated GIF, I fear.
Oh yeah.
Everyone in
always
this way,
realize.
we have plenty gifts.
There's so few, actually. This way I thought there was probably like 10 more. I've got to see more by now. Stay happen.
Because what is it? There's everyone from the clown dance. There's Gallimach who punches to death.
You get us singing.
Disco Fever.
Disco Fever.
That would be right.
Us singing Iron the Wind. That's pretty funny. You can't hear that though.
Pie, yeah,
Pie.
pie.
3PO playing 3DS.
Oh yeah,
Oh, come on, really?
Aftermath 2.
just the flashing lights.
Yeah. Just. What's that in the darkness? Just. Okay.
James Danzel sent in another $10, donating because I love watching Arrow's runs and I have autism. Or I hate autism, rather. Wow, I read. I'm awake enough to read. Yeah, also his goodness towards gauge, too. Alright. If James Danzel did have autism, though, I am psychic, which is a lot more powerful.
This level is called the Final Battle, and as you would guess, it's easily the most difficult level of the game, I would say.
That's the second to last level.
Dying.
$1,000 to skip Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and play the
What
Time
is
Rush.
going on? What is this? Come on, this is just
Oh no.
some
Yeah,
BS.
the back.
Maybe make it. Yes! Woo!
See you, suckers.
Comfortably back on 1% health.
Oh,
Wait,
2%.
2%.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5?
Let's see, I'm trying to think how I want to tackle this. I don't think there's any food around here.
It's just a volleyball. It's kind of heavy. It's in the head.
Yeah, some trees and bushes have earthlings behind them, some have presents, and some just have booby traps that'll crush you and deal damage. If you're, it's basically to, you know, punish people who aren't scanning the bushes beforehand, I guess. Like me.
Just a reminder, coming up right after this is...
I've had to do this section without a funk pack because I once got here accidentally with one less than I was supposed to have. There's like 5 earthlings down here that you can't see unless you use funk scans, and even then it's, you know, difficult to actually fight them. Funk vac is almost a requirement for this. I'm sorry, you can read donations.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, just a reminder that up next is Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, and it's actually a very glitchy game. Maybe a lot of people don't realize that. I know it's not like the most popular Zelda game, but it's actually a pretty fun watch, seeing it being broken. So, Rain's gonna be doing that run, and if you have any spare change laying around, there's gonna be some good prizes for that. There's Perlers and a knitted
I was wondering, I was like,
Minish Cap actually for
I should have had the hero.
a price.
Okay. Now, as people who have played this game probably remember, the last part of the stage is one of the hardest sections of the game. It's the underwater maze here. Let's get under here. There we go, that's a shortcut. So hopefully I'll remember where I'm going, because it's very easy to get lost down here.
So it's very glitchy apparently. Like doghouse glitchy? Or just kind of glitchy?
You'll see it.
For warping down here, or what?
Okay. That's all I wanted here.
Like he was asking about it.
Yeah, Mishka. It's glitchy, but it's a doghouse glitchy.
Doghouse
It's not
glitchy.
Doghouse glitchy, but
And the glitches don't happen until late.
Yeah.
Because you have to get a certain item that you don't get until later. But
So yeah, it is a little slow to start, but it's still a pretty fun game.
yeah, when you're skipping
And we're
through
safe.
the dungeons, there's
Yeah.
obviously it's crazy stuff going on. So.
Okay, so there's one more level with Earthlings, but as you'll see, it's not too much of a threat. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's impossible to die. It can still be annoying, but it's impossible to die, at least. They know how much I love fairies.
Yeah, I've never played this game before. I have no idea what's going on, but it looks amazing. I just want to say that.
You're trapping people.
The game's just great. I mean, people argue 1 and 2,
That's the last Earthling.
but they're both very, very good games.
I'm going to be stopping soon, so get ready. It's going to come up in like less than a minute.
No, no more strut.
I knew that was coming up. I was like, how close is it? I'm just going to take the first exit I can.
Hyperfunk Zone.
You get to see the Hyperfunk Zone one more time. Okay. Whoops.
Oh.
Did I throw my controller down? The frustration.
Okay, Samantha Skinner sent in $5, even though I think she cleared out her PayPal yesterday. I guess she stole some money. This is for KH2. It's also for more Arrow Love for playing really colorful, crazy Japanese games.
This actually isn't a
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think it's Japanese
This was
at all.
the ToeJam Earl series was made by an American developer.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, too, the
maybe she's just giving late love to Katamari, because I know she loves those games.
Okay.
Whoever made ToeJam
Katamari
Earl,
fits in the description very well.
whoever made ToeJam Earl was thinking really low humans, because we are just so... Well, look at it.
Okay, get ready to stop the timer. I'll tell you when. A little more movement.
27,000 points.
And stop.
Alright, you got 122.32.
Okay, that was not too bad. I had way too many deaths during that run. So as you can see, the funk goes out because this is the quote-unquote bad ending. As I explained before, to get the good ending, you have to find all of Layman's hidden stuff.
It's definitely 100%.
Yeah.